We've all stood in that specific kind of silence, the one that follows a connection being shattered without warning. You're left trying to fill a vacuum with questions that don't seem to have answers. Our biology is wired to seek the safety of the familiar. We often choose the predictable pain of a toxic relationship over the terrifying uncertainty of being alone, clinging to people out of a deep-seated fear of what happens when we let go. The problem is our vantage point. From where we stand, we see the loss, but we can't see the conversations happening in rooms we haven't entered yet. Because we can't see the future consequences of staying, our instinct to hold on often keeps us anchored to our own destruction. Look at this from the perspective of a system network. When a single node begins to threaten the integrity of the entire structure, the most efficient response is a targeted excision. This suggests a process we can call divine extraction. If we view these sudden exits as a systematic severing of ties, the perspective shifts. The pain of the goodbye serves as the primary mechanism to protect the trajectory of your life. What we perceive as a personal catastrophe often functions as a divine protocol, a series of calculated moves executed to ensure you reach your intended destination safely. This extraction protocol typically manifests in phases. It begins with the spiritual drain. You start to notice that your energy and peace don't just dip, they vanish entirely the moment a certain person enters the room. A relationship that constantly requires you to sacrifice your internal stability operates as a spiritual vacuum. When a connection begins to diminish your faith, it has met the primary diagnostic criteria for removal. If those internal warnings go unheeded, the extraction moves to the environment. This is the natural divide. The unanswered text messages, sudden walls in conversation, and a distance that grows despite your best efforts to close it. These communication breakdowns function as active barricades. Instead of treating these silences as problems to be solved, we can recognize them as deliberate blockades inserted to separate you from a damaging influence. At this stage, the most logical response is to stop forcing a connection that is being systematically obstructed for your own safety. The third phase involves the simple physics of capacity. Growth requires space, and your life has a finite volume for the people and opportunities you can carry. As this model shows, when your environment is saturated with negative variables, fresh opportunities find no place to land. To fix this, the environment must be cleared. Friction increases, generating the necessary pressure to force you out. This level of discomfort serves as a mechanical tool. It provides the final push needed to let go of the very people who are currently standing in the way of your next chapter. If we continue to hold on through the discomfort, the extraction enters a crisis phase. The relationship begins to induce constant anxiety, leaving you in a state of perpetual self-doubt. 1 Corinthians 14:33 outlines a fundamental operating rule. God is the author of peace. A relationship defined by chaos and tears exists in direct opposition to that divine order. When every other warning sign has been bypassed, the operation reaches its climax, final exposure. This is the moment the truth becomes impossible to ignore. The mask falls away, a hidden motive is revealed, or a betrayal comes to light. This sudden clarity is often brutal, but it effectively ends the debate. This exposure acts as a severe form of grace. It provides the undeniable evidence you needed to stop wasting your time and finally move forward. The immediate aftermath of an extraction is rarely easy. It feels like a loss, but that's only because the vacancy is still fresh. Once the toxic elements are gone, the internal noise begins to quiet. The initial sting of betrayal is replaced by a profound, unshakable peace that was previously blocked by the presence of the wrong person. Their removal was the prerequisite for everything that follows. With the ecosystem cleared, the destiny that was once blocked finally has the space it needs to manifest. If you are currently navigating a season of separation, the most productive move you can make is to surrender to the process. Trust that the timeline is moving you towards a more stable environment. Letting go is the mechanism that unlocks your growth. Type Amen if you are ready to trust the timing, and subscribe to Jesus Saves for more insights on your journey of faith. God bless.